Where is that? Hello, I am Lowe's. We are just getting started. Thanks for being here. Don't forget to tap the screen, share out the live. Let's get some people in here. Looks like we already have somebody requesting. I'm gonna go ahead and bring them up.
Yo.
Right. Hey, just a sec. Alright, I'm gonna cut that out. Hey, so what's your name? Viaz? Is that how I pronounce that?
Yeah.
Hey, Viaz, are you at least 18?
Yeah.
Okay, what god do you believe in?
I believe in a universal mind.
Is that
Like a deistic
something,
god.
is that a mind that created the universe?
I guess would ground. I don't really have a quote unquote like I just believe something's there. I don't really have any properties. I guess like based on rational inference from what we see in certain things.
Well, I think that we should define what it is you're talking about before we can go about getting your evidence for its
We should.
existence.
But I mean I guess I couldn't really, how would I say it? I guess I couldn't really understand this thing. I wouldn't be able to understand it. It's out of my comprehension. But I believe it's more rational that it's there to have something that's out of my comprehension than to assume that certain things come from the impossibility of the contrary.
Sure. But you're appealing to a nebulous idea that is outside of your comprehension. Could we even call it God? Right? I mean,
I'd assume
God is
so.
God is a specific thing. I think you could posit a God as
Yeah,
this
it'd
nebulous
be a specific
idea
thing, a universal
that's
mind.
outside your comprehension, but you could also come up with a whole host of things that fit that same definition.
Like what?
It's
Well,
outside my
mine
comprehension.
specifically, mine specifically. Well, I guess this would be a universal mind.
What do you mean by universal mind? Are you talking about the universe itself being conscious? Or are you talking about something transcendental or what?
Yeah, like that.
Transcendental?
No, yeah. What's it called? Um, I guess like specifically, I think that like our I want to say consciousness is something that's I want to say magical. Like, yeah.
It's not very well understood. I don't know if I would go as far as to say it's magical. But I guess just go ahead with your evidence or argument, and we'll go from there.
Well, yeah, no. So I understand that it's not very well understood. Um, However, what I'd say is that wait, can I ask you before I even tell you, do you believe in immaterial things?
I mean, like an idea or something, like the concept of running. Like I,
Mm.
I'm I'm
What
not a
about
I'm not
truth?
a Platonist or anything like that. I believe they exist in
Mm.
a certain sense, but
Do you believe
not.
truth exists?
I believe truth is a concept, but yeah, kind of.
Define concept.
Um, Something that is an abstract idea within someone's mind.
What do you mean by abstract idea?
I don't really know where we're gonna go from here, to be honest, man. Like
It's actually very simple. What do you mean by abstract idea?
something that is involving our brain. It's not something that is
Oh, so
uh,
truth is in your brain?
truth is a concept, right? Truth is based on a
Mm.
proposition.
Okay. Just clearing that up. Just like seeing where you are with that. But
It's
like I
it's a
guess going
communication from it's a communication that we use when we are identifying something that is congruent with reality.
so
Hey,
wait.
Sebastian.
Um what's it called? So if a schizophrenic person, I don't know how to pronounce that word, were to actually see something, like he's genuinely seeing something in front of him, would that actually be true in reality?
No, it wouldn't.
So it's not based on your mind.
Well, it's that which comports to reality, right? But our mind is how we would interpret truth, right? So he doesn't like he sees something and he thinks it's real, or he maybe he
We
knows he's
interpret
schizophrenic or
truth.
something. Um,
We interpret truth.
we communicate what is true. We
Wait,
make
but you said we
inferences
interpret
based
it.
on we make inferences based on the data that we observe and experience. And we test it to see
So
if
if
it's true. We have propositions that we test to see if they're true. I feel like this is
okay,
stuff that
so
you already understand. I don't know why you're asking this.
no, I'm low key like this is it's an interesting. So this is actually not even what I was gonna like use my evidence for. This is actually not at all. It's just kind of interesting. I like hearing your your position on things like this. I mean, what's it called? Wait, so if a colorblind person tested something and he always came out with the same outcome, and then a regular person tested it and they were testing the actual outcomes and they got two different colors, which one would be true?
Well, color exists in the brain. Color is an interpretation of wavelengths of light that
S-
our
So
eyes
is it true
or our
something
brains
could be
interpret.
white and not white?
There's not a thing that's really truly white. Color is interpreted in the brain. So when you are experiencing the color white that you're perceiving, you're getting a lot of wavelengths of light, almost all of the wavelengths being reflected off of
So
an
it's
object
not
into your
true.
eyes.
So it's
It's
not true
it's
that
it's true in a pragmatic sense. It's just not technically it's shorthand for something that's deeper when you call something white.
it's shorthand for something that's deeper.
hmm Like we're not going to sit here and say that the light that's on my face, I mean, it appears white to me, so that's shorthand for there's a whole bunch of wavelengths of light that are touching my eyeballs, and my brain is interpreting it as this color. I'm not going to go and say all this uh, complex, technically true shit when I could just say it's white. Like I
Right.
perceive it as color white.
Okay. Um, I mean,
But
that's
I mean,
a
I don't really know what this line of questioning is doing. I would love to get into
no,
the
it's not.
argument.
It's literally just me like just picking your brain. It's actually I wasn't going in, but like I okay, so you probably want me to go back to, like actual what I was talking about. So okay,
I'd
I will
like to
go
get
back.
started. Yeah.
Yeah, so okay then. What I was saying was like based on that concept that I brought up at first, like that universal mind, what I would say is based on chemical interactions not being intrinsically experiential, that definitely posits a huge uh, eyebrow raise that honestly it's I believe it's more rational to believe that a universal mind grounds that.
Um. So, do you have an argument to get there, or is this just like a speculation that you have?
It's just the impossibility of the contrary.
Explain how the contrary is impossible.
Yeah, so are chemical interactions intrinsically experiential?
No.
Oh, yeah. So if they're not, um, what's it called? Then how can we posit something like a quote unquote inner, I want to say awareness?
Real quick, I just want to acknowledge the Robot Goat raid. Thank you, Robot Goat viewers.
What's
I came on
happening?
just in time. Oh, we got a Robot Goat raid.
What does
Um,
that mean?
Robot Goat. They're another creator who does a similar thing that I do, and they were
Oh, well,
getting
like
off.
debate.
So everybody go see Lobes. Yeah, so everybody's coming in.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Anyways,
what
yeah.
you're talking about? It sounds to me like the fallacy of composition. Just because the parts of something have a certain property, that means that the whole also has these same properties. So if the parts lack a
Wait, say
property
that
from the
again.
whole, the composition fallacy. If the
I don't
parts are
know.
away,
Like,
that means that the whole is also away. It's fallacious.
if the parts are away, the whole like what do you?
If the parts
Sorry,
are
I'm
a
like
way,
new to this.
if the parts have, let's say, properties X, Y, and Z, that means the whole has properties X, Y, and Z. If the properties lack properties A, B, and C, that means the whole lacks A, B, and C. But this is fallacious. That's obviously not true, right? Like, um, do the individual
Yeah, how could they
cells
produce new
do the
properties?
individual cells in my body have a dick? No. Does that mean that my whole self does not have a dick? Of course. I'm not going to prove that to you.
No,
I mean, it
no,
is
you're
Pride
good.
Month, so maybe in the DMs or something. But like,
Oh no, no,
I
no, no, no.
definitely
Okay,
have a dick.
no,
I
no,
can
no.
assure
Okay,
you.
no, 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 no. Yeah, no, no, no. Okay, no, you're good. You're good. You're good. You don't gotta
See what I mean?
explain more. You're good.
So if the individual cells and the particles within our body don't have experience or they don't perceive in the way that we do, um, a construction of these
Is
things still could. It's not that it can't, right?
Yeah,
It's not
but
that that
okay.
necessitates that the whole thing can't.
However, just more cells and more cells will form something with the same properties. It's not gonna form something with new properties.
Well, that's not the case. It can definitely
What
form
do you mean
things with
that's
new
not the
properties.
case?
Yeah,
What is
have you
experience
ever I mean, have you ever
metaphysical?
mixed chemicals together? They become
Is
new
it no,
things.
is experience it what do you define as what do you define as experience?
Experience. Let me look up a good definition and I'll see if I agree with that here.
Okay.
Knowledge or skill understanding you gain from doing, seeing, living through things. It can also mean specific event that happens to you. Oh, sounds like academic
Yeah,
experience or something.
that's the AI overview, I believe.
Yeah, I think it's like, I mean, something that you I almost said experience, but that'd be circular. What do you think? I haven't really pondered that before, like the definition of experience. But I guess our perception, our
Yep.
awareness.
I'd give it a little more than that. So I guess what I think would be experience would be what's it called? Quote unquote a personal perception of the knowledge that not even knowledge, I just say the surroundings that we have, that personal inner quote unquote. I don't want to use the word qualia, but I low key do want to use the word qualia.
Thanks, Katie. I didn't want to use qualia because I thought that I would just be spitting out a synonym, right? I thought that you were
Yeah, I mean,
asking like
I
what you
want
were
to say
saying.
that inner perception of knowledge.
Hmm.
I don't knowledge can be wisdom, whatever it might be. But yeah, no, that's what I think experience would be.
Sure. So how do I get to getting to God from
Well,
your composition
you
fallacy?
you said what?
How do I get to God from the fallacy of composition that you've given?
Yeah, no. So, quote unquote, I don't even know. Like, I don't even. I'm not a philosopher, but what's it called? To know, like, I don't know fallacies or whatever. But what I'm saying is that if you're saying, well, first off, you haven't even demonstrated how all these quote unquote chemical interactions can produce
Well, I don't
like
need
that inner
to. Like
subjective. You have
I don't need. That's not my burden. You need to explain to me uh
well, it
how the
can't.
conclusion. You need to explain to me how the conclusion that we have this experience that you don't understand leads us to believe that a God exists. But it sounds
This
like you're
experience that I
arguing
don't
from.
understand.
It sounds like yeah, because you're asking the
I understand.
question.
We all have this experience. What are you talking about?
Well, no, I know that we all have the experience, but you're talking about
Perfect. So
where it
we
comes
understand
from.
it to be a thing.
That's not what I meant.
What
I
do you?
didn't
Oh,
mean
what
that
do you
we
mean?
understand that it's a thing, that it exists. That's obviously not what I meant. I'm talking about how it
Okay, what do you
works, where it
mean?
originates from, things like this. You're saying that
Okay.
you're asking me for an explanation, and I don't need to have one for whatever your explanation you might posit to be incorrect. So
Well, the
in
thing
order
is,
to
you don't
determine that,
have an
we'd have to.
explanation.
Well, I don't need one.
You don't have, regardless, you don't have one.
Yeah, I
So
don't, but I
if
don't need one.
yeah,
Like
yeah, and that's
me
that.
not having an explanation doesn't make your assertion correct automatically.
Correct. Absolutely, I agree with that. However, you not having an explanation, well, it's not even just you. It's what's it called? You have not having an explanation for something that quote unquote is, well, I can't use the word magical, but something that is, it's personally internal, and obviously we know cells don't have, I'm not even going to use the word emerge, but like cells, enough cells can't posit an interpersonal experience, and saying enough of them can is ridiculous. So
No, it's
it's
not. Yeah, it's not that.
enough
It's not
cells
the
can
amount.
produce an
It's not
inner
the amount. It's
experience.
not the amount. It's the way that they're composed.
What? That sounds like brute emergence. That's like just saying it is
Do you
because it
understand that
is.
when you combine different atoms, or when you combine different atoms, you get molecules. You have chemical reactions
You don't get an
that are different.
an inner qualia. That's not what you get.
This is
You're
evident. This
just
is
saying it is
evidently what
because it
we get.
is.
This is what I would assume,
You're
because
just
this
saying it
is
is
all of
because
the
it
evidence
is.
that we have is that our
You're
consciousness
asserting
stems
that.
from our no. This all of the evidence that we have about consciousness shows us that it is emergent from our brain. If you start tampering with somebody's brain, their consciousness is undoubtedly affected
Yeah, I'm not talking
100%
about
of
yeah,
the
no,
time.
no, 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 no. No, that's I don't know what's that called. That's not even what I'm talking. You're right now you're talking about the hardwiring that's used. It's like, for example, if I don't know if in TV, bro, you take a bat and you smash that shit and there was a broadcast playing on it. That doesn't mean that the broadcast is the TV. The TV is
No, of
just a
course not.
hardwiring.
No. So our consciousness, as far as I can tell, is um, the interaction between neurons.
Sure, can I ask you, can you have behavior without experience?
Yes.
Great. Oh, perfect. So if you can have neurons behaving, why posit an experience, an inner experience at that?
The individual neuron would not have the experience. Our neurons get fried sometimes. There is a network of neurons that make up the entire
No, but I'm
experience.
saying why though?
Like you're the one who has the answer. You're saying that it's God.
No, but no, I asked you though.
I don't
You don't
understand
have an
I
answer.
don't understand brain chemistry like a professional would, but you have
Even a
an answer.
professional can't answer that. There's something called
Well, they would
neurocore.
have a
It's called
better they would have a
NCCs.
better they would have a better understanding than I would, but you have an answer and it's
No,
God.
they can have an understanding about behavior. They can have an understanding about
You need to
reactions.
explain to me
And
how you get to God from your incredulity about brain chemistry.
yeah, great. So, quote unquote, not excuse me, I don't know why I said that. Neuroscientists can
That's like the
posit
12th time you said
behavior.
quote unquote.
Did shit. Anyway, what's it called? Yeah, no. So what I'm saying is that neuroscientists can posit behavior. They can posit things that the brain it reacts to, but it can't posit the experience that I really don't want to use the word qualia, but the qualia that we feel,
Hmm.
it can't posit that. And you know, obviously you can hold a reductive physical, well, I don't know if you hold that view, reductive physicalism, but what's it called? Just to say that I think just to posit that something like an inner qualia comes from neurons that only have behavior, to say that we've actually observed neurons going back, just observing that, nowhere in that can you find what it feels like to be you, and that's a fact.
Yeah, that is a fact, and I'm trying to explain to you that this is a fallacy of composition and it's going over your head
I
every
literally don't
time.
even know, like, I'm sorry, like, I'm genuinely not being bad faith, I just don't know what the fuck that means.
Okay, well, I've already explained it, but I do need you to get to the point, like because it seems like a non sequitur. You're saying that
What
we
does
have
that mean?
consciousness. You're saying that physicalism apparently can't.
Wait, what's a
Um,
non sequitur?
it's something that doesn't follow. Like it does not sequence. Like
Okay.
if I were to say that, for example, I know that you're wearing a hat because I drove my car yesterday. Like it does not follow. Like the conclusion
I
doesn't
know.
follow from that.
Okay, okay, I understand. Something that just doesn't correlate, I
Right.
guess.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. You not having an explanation, or me not having an explanation does not mean that God is the explanation. I mean, I could make up an explanation that explains it, but doesn't make it actually true.
I mean, all
I
you
could say
gave
there's a
was,
consciousness fairy, and there's a consciousness fairy that came into existence spontaneously because it's just its nature to spontaneously come
well,
into
then wouldn't you be
existence.
committing a correlation causation fallacy by saying the
I would
brain is
be I would be
correlated?
positing and I would be positing a solution from my own incredulity, like what people do with God.
What's your solution?
My solution is for us to keep doing research into neurology until we have a better understanding of it. Whenever we have ideas that are explained by God, these are the types of things that get replaced by science, and I have never seen a scientific explanation get later replaced by one that has God as the answer. So I'm not inclined to just um,
A
shut off my
scientific, you
brain,
know,
so
there's
to
some
speak,
things science can't,
and
you know, there's
posit a
some things
God.
science, you know, there's some things that science literally just can't
Yeah, that's
like
true.
answer,
It's
right?
the study of the natural world and how it works. Yeah.
Okay,
So
great.
yeah, but like it can't answer everything, but I imagine it could probably get pretty darn close to answering our consciousness. We know a lot about consciousness. There's just a lot that
That's
we
all.
still
It
don't
wouldn't
know.
that be a fallacy too?
What?
Wouldn't that be like a future reductionism fallacy? You're saying with the information we have right now, I don't know, but in the future, somehow we're going to figure it out.
No, it's just looking at the trend of science. I mean, can you deny that we've had
What?
scientific progress in every field?
No, you're talking about the same scientists who think men can be women. No, we
You
haven't had
don't think
scientific
do you
progress. What
I
the
mean, you don't think so do you think that when we invented the laptop, we backslid in science? Like the cavemen had it right with their
Wait,
rocks and their
is that does
sticks.
that have to do with science?
It
Like
is. It
laptops?
literally has everything to do with science.
Probably, yeah. No, you're
It
right. I would
does.
think. Yeah. No.
The
Yeah,
fact that
sure.
our
But
technology
then
progresses is proof of our science improving. Our
yeah, has have we
medicine getting
improved by
better is
saying
proof
men
of our
can be
science.
women?
Why are you trying to change the subject to a
It's
trans
not. This is
topic?
the same science you're appealing to, right?
No, no,
You're
this is
appealing to
besides the point.
improvements. No,
This is
it's not.
besides the
You're
point.
saying science has improved, and the same science that you say has improved, there are top universities out there that are saying men can be women.
Oh, hang on,
That's the same science.
I just have to throw up this real quick. Sorry, what were you saying?
Uh, I love you.
Yeah, so you're saying that you had some kind of an issue with trans people.
No, I'm not. What I'm saying, oh, wait a minute. Are you offended?
Oh no, I'm just asking, like, because you're wanting
Oh,
to
no,
change the
no, no, no,
subject
no, no,
on the
no, no,
first day
no.
of
The thing
Pride
is,
Month.
no. So don't think that I have an issue with trans people because what I'm saying is men can't be women. I don't have an issue with men that think that. That's fine. You can have your preference, whatever. Your preference is your preference, bro. However, I'm sorry, but you're appealing to the same science institutes that you're saying that are what progressing, and this is what we've come to. I'm
The
sorry.
fact that you have a distaste for people who exist who have a gender
A
identity
distaste?
that does
It's not a
not
distaste.
that
It's
does
a
not
fact. It's
correlate
not a
with
distaste. I don't
their
care what your
biological sex.
preferences are.
It has nothing to
I
do with
don't care what you want to be.
scientific discovery at
Facts don't care
large.
about your feelings.
Yeah,
Facts do
exactly.
not care about your feelings.
Exactly. And the way that you feel about
Exactly. So
trans
you
people
can't
does
be a
not invalidate
woman
them.
if you're a man.
And you're
Great.
trying to discredit science because trans people exist. You're trying to discredit science
What
as
are
a
you
whole.
talking about?
Science
Discredit
as a whole.
science.
Because
Science
I'm
hasn't
talking
proved
about
that.
because I'm talking about science progressing over time. And you're saying science does not progress over time. They think men can be women. And I'm like, that is
Yeah,
undermining
no, 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 no,
the
no.
entirety
Progressing.
of the
Wait, define
scientific
progressing.
method.
Hold up. Define progressing.
It's to make progress, dude. We're trying to get
No,
better.
to progressing is to make
To
progress.
get
Great
better.
job. Great job. Good job. Great. Define progressing.
It's to get better.
Progressing is to make progress. Wow,
It's to
phenomenal.
get
Top tier
better.
shit. That's
It
top
is
tier
to
shit.
get better.
To get better. What do you
Hmm.
define get better? What do you mean?
I'm really getting tired of your asking for
Yeah, this is
definitions of
top tier
basic
shit, bro.
words.
Holy shit.
I mean,
Progressing is to get
I
better.
think that you've
Progressing is
asked
to
for
progress.
definitions
Top
of
tier
words that
shit. Great job, man.
I haven't heard anybody ask for definitions since
Of
probably maybe.
progressing, you said progressing is to progress. Top tier shit. Great job.
Well, yeah,
And then you
because you
said
are
to get
asking me
better.
questions
I
in bad
ask you
faith
what
and
it
have been this
means to get
entire
better.
time.
And you,
Then you
the thing is,
discredit
as an atheist,
science.
you can't
Then
have
you
value
discredit
judgments.
science by trying to hate trans
As
people.
an
But whether
atheist,
or
you
not
can't
trans people
have
exist
value.
and
Keep
whether or
running. Why
not
are
what
you running?
science,
Why are you
whether or not what,
running? Why are you
regardless of what
running?
science says
Why are you
about trans
running?
people,
Why are
has
you
nothing
running
to do with
away?
science at
Why are you
large.
running?
What was the last thing that I
Why are
said?
you running? Why are you running?
What was the last thing I said?
Progressing is to progress. Great
No, that
job.
was like
Top
five
tier
minutes ago.
shit. Great job. Great job.
Yeah, I answered that
That's
in
the
bad faith on
atheist, by the way. That's
purpose.
the top tier atheist, by the way.
No, I answered that in
Progressing is
bad
to
faith on
progress.
purpose.
Phenomenal.
Did
Oh
you hear
shit.
me? You can't hear
Holy
me over
shit.
the sound of your own fat head
I actually have a fat head. How'd you know?
because I know everything. All right. Anyway, Loeb's Lounge, bigots only. Expose your hate here. Uh-oh, am I a piece of shit? All right, let's bring out the. Well, I guess you don't have to be a bigot. So you don't have to be one. Like that's not a rule. So if you don't want, like, if you're thinking about being one, you don't actually need to be up here. Um, Crazy. How are you?
Hey, how's it going? How you doing today?
I don't think I've ever been that worked up on live before. So I mean, I'm
Sorry.
okay.
We'll talk later if you got too heated or too much.
It's all right.
We
You
can
know,
talk.
I'll as long as this goes better, I'll simmer down. But yeah.
Uh,
So are you at least
no,
18?
I'm not. I got nothing but love, bro. Like at the end of the day, all I was saying is, have anybody ever hallucinated before? Did LSD or trip on acid, or like breaking the science in between the matters and seeing like a different power, like regardless how it's like. That's what I'm saying. I used to,
Hey,
when I
I
was
just real
younger, me
quick.
and my
I
buddies.
need to answer the age question first before we get into whatever it is you're talking about. How old are you?
I am 36 years old,
All
sir.
right. And what God do you believe in?
Um, well, let's start off with, I believe in Yahweh as well.
Okay. So are you Christian,
But
Jewish?
I'm not going to sit here. I am Christian,
Okay.
or a
So
man
I'm
of
an
faith. I
atheist.
don't follow,
That's fine.
like,
I'm an atheist. What is your
okay.
best evidence for God?
It's what I went through. It's my personal journey. Therefore, it's hard for me to explain. The closest thing I can explain to it is hallucinogen journey.
So
When
so
you
you
see
your
different
evidence. Oh,
things
hang on,
about
hang on.
like
I just want real quick. So you're saying it's a hallucinogenic journey or something like that. Now
well, it's
first of all,
like
this is getting into the anecdotal, and I would prefer to stay away from the anecdotal. I'd rather talk to speak to
oh,
something that's more propositional.
like propositional, such as like who created what, or the beginning of time, or like
Well, I mean, you could go that way, just making a
right,
proposition in the form of an argument, or maybe you have some kind of evidence to suggest that God exists that's independent from your personal experience.
right. I respect that. I mean, I'm not here trying to change your belief, or and or add anything to that nature. I'm not trying to be disrespectful whatsoever.
I'm not getting that from
I hang
you,
out
you
with a
know.
little
I'm not getting that from you. But
right.
do you have any
Okay.
good evidence or an argument for the existence of God?
Let's start off by saying that it's more. You know how you can breathe oxygen or feel the wind or feel the air. You know it's there, but you can't see it. That's how God is. That's the way I like to see it.
So God can be
God's there with His love.
so air can be detected in numerous ways other than just with your sight. I mean, I can feel air, right? I can feel the effects of it when the wind blows on me. I've been picked up off the ground by air before. I can hear the wind
Right.
whistling. There's a lot of evidence to suggest that air exists. When we go underwater, we can no longer breathe. Air is what fills our lungs.
Right.
You can actually see it when you have vapor in
Right.
the air. It's floating around
That's
in this invisible substance. Air definitely exists. We have empirical evidence of its existence. But with God, we don't actually have
now.
any
If
empirical
you,
evidence.
you're technically right. It's the only thing is by what people feel is what the creation of what people call God. I mean, there's no scientific way of proving that fact besides describing His love. That you know He's there. Like I don't know if that makes sense. That's
Right.
the
I
best
mean,
way I know how to.
I just think that people interpret something that they feel as God, and they live in a culture where there's a popular one. So a lot of them will just say that it's the same one, so they have a cultural connection with one another in that regard.
Right.
Because you go to a different culture and they say that they got the same feeling, but it's a different specific God. Feels like it's just people kind of attributing a sensation that they have to something that probably isn't actually there.
Right. I mean, historic documents showing that Jesus was alive. He was a real man, and he did die. The Romans uh, pretty much, hung him on the cross and all that, and his blood was sacrificed to the covenant. I mean, that's been scientifically proven.
Well, I don't know that it's been
Like,
scientifically proven, but I'm happy to grant it. I just don't know what the relevance is if Jesus was crucified, how we get God exists from that fact.
right. Well, I mean, that's the closest thing to God's evidence is through Jesus, and according to the Bible, only one way to the Father is through me. So in order to prove God's existence, you have to prove Jesus, right?
No, you don't have to prove Jesus in order to prove God. I think that's actually the more difficult route to go.
Right. I mean, I agree with that too. Right. So you're asking to prove identity, a identity of a spiritual beast that you can't see or hear. So my question is, do you believe in spirits or ghosts or any
No.
like aliens, or do you believe in aliens or afterlife?
Aliens are far more likely to exist than the spirits or ghosts.
Right. So do you think people can get possessed?
Like by the boogie maybe, but or a really delicious piece of food, and they're encapsulated, or something like an orgasm, maybe, possessed by that. But like I don't know about like demonic or spiritual possession. No, I don't believe in any of
Well,
that.
like how people could take pictures and there's orbs, or they can see images of spirits. And I believe like like a lot of the ghost hunter stuff, or half of it's false, and some has been truly documented as well. So like it
The
all
best
has
that
to
they've
come from
got, the
somewhere.
best that these people have got is unexplained phenomena. That's the best.
Right,
And the worst they've got is um, debunked stuff where they're outed as con artists. I think some of them probably believe it. I think the majority of them are
right.
probably deliberately conning people for views and money. But yeah, like I don't know how any of this gets me to believe in God. Do you have good evidence for the existence of God specifically?
Well, it's just like with the Egyptians, where they believe in Ra. Was it Ra, the sun god? The half dog man as God as well. Like let's use the Egyptians for examples. The pyramids. All way they said they were gods built the pyramids, right? You
I don't
know,
know what they said about the obviously the pyramids were not built by gods.
well, I mean, what was it? Queen Sheba was saying that certain pyramids were the statue of, was it the statue of the Great Sphinx? I want to say was built by the gods.
Yeah,
That's
that
what they
sounds
claim.
like she was religious or otherwise superstitious. I don't know why I would take her word on anything like that.
Right, but I mean, there's holographics and stuff inside the pyramids
This is just
talking.
evidence of people who believed in God. But I need the evidence for God's actual existence, not evidence of people who believe in God.
I think a lot of it is based on faith. Like I'm not saying it's like you know in order like okay, if God you're real, strike me down, type of scenario, and it's like, for instance, it's like you're lost in the woods and you're hungry, you're starving, and you sit there and you beg and get on your knees and beg for something to drink or something to eat because there's nothing around you, and it's like it's like almost like the wind or the trees would show you the directions for the food, and that could be God, or God could, boom, a bird lands in front of you, you pluck it, you cook it over the campfire, and I think
Yeah, we
everything
need to
happens
rule
for a
out
reason.
the problem though here, man, is that we need to rule out every natural explanation before we start looking at the supernatural. And even once we've ruled out every natural explanation, we'd have to confirm somehow that there isn't another one we weren't privy to. So I don't know when we would ever start looking at the supernatural for explanations, if we still have potential natural ones.
Right, so like when you say to rule out the supernatural,
To
so
rule
you
out
want
the
to like
natural.
base,
You'd have to rule out the
okay,
natural.
okay, rule out the natural, so you want to base it on science, basically, or in theory, of course.
Well, yeah, I mean, like if you're talking about empirical evidence, then you would be using science.
Right, but isn't science created by God? Right,
You'd have
science
to
has to come
demonstrate that. That's another claim.
right. That is, you're right, but I'm just saying, like, it's like science. Everything has a beginning and end to it, right?
Does God have a beginning or an end?
I mean, I would imagine. I mean, I don't know. There's stuff that I can't describe.
Hmm. So, crazy. It sounds like or crazy Joe, I guess, or crazy Jay. It sounds like you don't have your views fully fleshed out. I would love for you to think a little bit about these more deeply. You can come back tomorrow, next day. I'm going live for the next 3 days after the night. But thank you for coming up.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
All right. Hey, thank you guys for being here. Let me do some of this real quick. Da, 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 da. Hey, thanks for being here. I'm Loves the Absurdist. If you're enjoying the stream, don't forget to tap the screen. We're getting pretty close to 10K likes. I appreciate that. Thanks for engaging with the comment section and all that good shit. Make sure you do not, under any circumstances, fill up this meter or else I'll sing to you. But if you share the live, we can get some more butts in the seats and eyeballs on the screen. The more people in here we have, the more conversations we can have, and that's what everybody's here for. Conversation. Alright, so I did have a couple of guests in the box. I guess they got bored, so If you are out there and you want to come up here and give me your evidence for God, the guest box is open. You'll be the very next guest if you request right now. In the meantime, I can address some of you guys who are recognizing here. Kaizak is here. Christina the Godless. Of course, Sebastian is here. Hey, Victoria. Hey. And of course, Lupine gave some support. Christina gave support. Victoria's giving. Hey! Thank you for the greeting heart. Very cool. Paper Cutout Theater sent some support. We appreciate that. That atheist can't stop talking about God? We can't, man. It's our favorite thing. I do it as a form of charity. Trying to help people understand. Katie sent some support. Amathon sent some support. Katie sent a lot of support, actually. Kaizak sent support. Roger SD sent some. Violet sent some support. Everlasting Godstopper way at the beginning. He sent his heart me. We appreciate all you guys. Yeah, charity is a good way to describe it. I heard Monkey Boy call it that earlier today. And I'm like, that's kind of perfect. Uh-oh, music's off. Let's try this. So how are we doing while we're waiting for a guest? I just need some evidence here. To be fair, the other guy who we had up, he was saying that I don't think that there's really... Science is not something that can prove God. I don't think there really is any empirical evidence. I would agree. And I don't think that it's categorically even something we would expect, right? If God's transcendental, we wouldn't expect anything in our scope that science could find to point towards its existence. But what we do have is philosophy, such as metaphysics. That's a school of philosophy, and this is the kind of thing that we would explore to gauge how likely a God would be using philosophical reasoning and logic. We do have access to that, and so I am kind of expecting arguments. And I think that those are the things that are going to get somebody to believe or disbelieve in God. It's philosophy. And God is a topic in philosophy, not in science. If the creator has any wisdom, he would hide his identity on creation, so let's look for that. Hide his identity on creation? It's definitely hidden, I'll say that. I don't see that anywhere. Thanks, Lupine, for your finger hearts. I appreciate that. Imagine claiming intelligence, looking at just the eye and brain saying, nah, no God. Oh yeah, well, we don't look at just those things. It is really funny though, the eye is always given as this example. The human eye is a very common, it's like a trope that we kind of experience. People bring up the human eye as if it's this feat, this really damning evidence. It's overly complicated supercomputer level tech, and it's just we have cameras that we've made that are far superior to the human eye. Do I need to play different music? What if I switch it like that? Oh, okay. Maybe we tone it down? Maybe the metal's scaring people away? Y'all remember when I used to play jazz a lot? Yeah, I play some jazz.
Welcome to Loeb's Lounge, the
Just look at the trees, bruh. Have y'all seen my look at the trees video? It's definitely my most proud video I have. It's the first pinned one. If you go there, you'll see my testimony of how I looked at the trees and was instantly convinced. That's just how it works. You look at the trees and the spirit just overtakes you. Yeah, I was knocked on my ass. Started reading the Bible. It was transformative. Highly recommend. It's definitely, it really is definitely worth a watch if you haven't seen it. If you only watch one of my videos, I would say you should watch that one. You numbskulls, look at everything and say, nah, no God. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, wait, are you trolling? This Femi person? Because they're saying things that, like, I wouldn't expect any serious believer to say. Alright, we got a guest. Hey, Josh. Hey, how are you doing tonight?
Hey, I'm doing alright, man. Thanks for asking.
Great. Are you at least 18?
Yeah, I'm 36.
Okay, what God do you believe in?
I'm Catholic, but I just wanted to be specific here on your claim here. What are you defining as God?
A mind that created the universe.
Okay. Can you point to me a case under which something has been created from nothing?
No.
Or something rather comes from nothing?
No. Can you?
Well, regardless of whether I can, right, if I have knowledge of it or not, is it not then logically reasonable to state that if there isn't necessarily anything that something has never like come from nothing, that there must be an origination point, correct?
I wouldn't say so. I think that we look around the world and we see that there is something. So I think I think you can boil everything down to a dichotomy using the law of excluded middle. You could say that, like, either the stuff was always here or the stuff was not always here. So how do we determine that? How did you determine?
I would call that a false dichotomy, wouldn't it? Wouldn't that be a false dichotomy?
No, that's a true dichotomy.
How so?
Because either P or not P. Either the stuff was always here or the stuff was not always here.
Well, there's a third option, wouldn't there be?
What's that?
One thing always was, but not everything always was.
Yeah, so that would have been the second one.
Okay, so you said, yeah, just to be clear, like, if you're only specifying the universe, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that there exists anything outside of the universe?
I think if we discovered something that currently we would consider to be outside the universe, we would just lump it in with the universe.
Is it metaphysically possible?
I guess it depends on how we're defining universe, because I would consider the universe to just be all of reality.
Yeah. Well, what do you define as reality?
The totality of real things.
What do you define as real?
Things that exist.
Just something that you can see, touch, do with your senses?
Things that exist.
Wait, what do you mean things that exist?
Like the other guy had. Things that exist, man. I don't know how else to put it.
Oh, I'm just wondering what you mean by exist.
What do you think I mean by exist?
I don't know. That's why I'm asking.
Hang on.
No, I'm not trolling. I'm genuinely asking these questions because I don't want to straw man the host. I want to understand exactly what his argument is.
It just feels like pedantic. Hang on. Exist means to be real or have actual being. To be real or to have actual being.
Okay, things that have actual being. All right. So you think it is metaphysical?
Okay.
Sorry, I didn't know that you weren't done. My apologies.
It just feels like these are all like obvious. I think that saying actual being is very synonymous and like obvious when I say exist or when I say real. I think you could have assumed, because I don't know in what other context these words are ever used. I've never heard anyone say real and mean something other than real.
Well,
So
respectfully,
I really don't understand what's with the pedantic line of questioning, but we can move on.
it's not pedantic at all. I want to make sure that we're on the same page about these terms and we're defining terms as necessary, so we're not talking past each other. I think that's fair.
I mean, because it sounds like if I wanted to do what it seems like you were doing, I could ask, well, what's your definition of that?
If you were like running the line of questioning, sure. I think it would be fair for you to ask what I mean when I say specific words. But your claim specifically is that you're an atheist, so you don't believe in any metaphysical possibility under which an all-powerful being could exist.
When I say I'm an atheist, it's just a state of my belief. So it's like I'm just saying my state of belief on God.
Right. You don't believe that it is possible
It's a claim about
for an
myself.
all-powerful being. Right. You don't believe that an all-powerful being is possible to exist, correct?
That's kind of besides the point of atheism, but yeah, I think I would agree with that.
Well, it's not besides the point if that's literally what you're using
If I
as a
if I
descriptor
don't
to
if I
determine
don't
your.
hold the belief that one exists because I haven't been convinced of it, but I could still believe in the possibility. Like I could be
That would be
open to it and still
agnostic.
yeah, that would be an agnostic atheist. Yes.
Those two words are contradictory.
No, they are
Atheism
not.
particularly points to the lack of belief, or or more like distinctly, the belief in the absence and impossibility of an all-powerful being.
Yeah, what was the first thing you said? The lack of belief?
The lack of belief, was a disjunct.
Yeah, so it
Yeah.
can be an atheist can be someone who lacks the belief, like an agnostic atheist. That would be the type of atheist that lacks the belief. Then you've got your Gnostic atheist, and the second part of the definition you read.
So I don't see any like thing beyond a trivial difference there. So
Yeah, it is kind of
the
trivial.
idea here is that at the end of the day, like, you don't believe that it's possible for an all-powerful being to exist, and this more or less aligns with what is colloquially commonly used as atheism. So I'm glad we got on the same page there. So if it is the case that it is not at all possible for an all-powerful being to exist, otherwise like a creator, etc., how can you discern the origination point of anything? And what's the argument in support of, if it is the case that you hold the position that it's just always there, that everything was always there?
So I mean, I hold to things. I hold to things having always existed, based on well, in part it's Occam's razor. We have things, and if these things just are always existing, then we don't need to posit one out of our own incredulity, because that would also just be to use a fallacy, right?
Well, Occam's razor simply means the simplest explanation is often the most correct one. It doesn't actually guarantee that this thing is. So you're using inductive logic, but I would also challenge the idea that this is the simplest answer. In fact, that complicates things more to say that things just always were.
How so?
Because we can't point to a single case under which something came from nothing, or something just like popped into existence.
Sure, exactly. So the universe couldn't have just popped out from nothing.
Right. So a creator had to have happened. A creator had to have existed.
What do you believe God created the universe out of?
Well, what I believe is irrelevant to your position. So, like,
I'm just curious, because you asked me a bunch of questions that seemed irrelevant and pedantic.
Yeah, because you're the one making the positive claim here.
Well, I was asking for evidence. That's the prompt tonight. I gave background,
and the problem is that that's a burden shift,
evidence. Though. No, because
no, but that's your first claim is you're an atheist.
No,
right?
my first claim. I don't make actually any claims except my state of belief. I give background about myself.
Which implies a positive claim that
Josh,
there is no God.
So
it does.
I'm
sorry, that's just bad faith to say
that
that's
about
not
myself.
what that is an implication of.
The prompt tonight, Josh, is a question. I give background about myself, and I ask a question.
Great. But you are claiming to be an atheist, and that's the thing that I'm challenging.
So you don't want to engage with the prompt. You don't want to actually give.
That is part of the prompt. That is part of the prompt. You're an atheist. It predisposes and presupposes that there is no God, which
So if I
relays
were
the
to say,
question.
if this were to say, like,
This is just a burden
if this
shift.
were to say, I'm a man, what is your best evidence for God? Would you be obsessed with the fact that I'm a man?
Well, no, because it wasn't implicated in the prompt. It's presupposing that you're an atheist and you're already making or having a position that God doesn't exist.
Yeah, I started off by not, well, I wouldn't say started off, but when I became an atheist, it was because I didn't hold a position on whether or not God existed.
That would not be atheism.
Yeah, it would, because you either are a theist.
No, it wouldn't. Atheism
Josh,
is a
because
position.
you are either a theist or you are a non-theist or an atheist.
Oh, would that be a position?
It would be a state of belief.
That would be a position, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, great. So you do have a position on this, and you are making the claim here, and it is implied. I'm glad we cleared that up. So again,
Well, it isn't necessarily.
if it is the case,
but I'm really just looking for the
actually
evidence.
very necessarily, directly necessarily.
No, I already explained
Without
the difference
said
to you.
without
and
said presupposition.
You read the
Without said
definition,
presupposition, this
and were
question
immediately
wouldn't exist.
proven
That would
wrong
make it
by,
necessary.
I don't know if it was ChatGPT or Google, but it immediately agreed with me.
Not
in the first part.
ChatGPT, and you can stop coping and just admit that this presupposes things.
What is it presuppose?
Like you already have presupposed a positive claim here. In the form of the question is just a burden shift.
So there either is a God or there isn't, and if we're both going to be
Correct,
honest,
and
we'll
you
start,
make the position.
Josh,
You have said the position
please.
that you're an atheist.
Josh, if we start from the position that we don't hold a stance whether or not God exists, then we do not have theism. We are both atheists at that point. We're not strong atheists. We're agnostic atheists at that point because we don't know whether or not God exists. So we need, once somebody says, I have an explanation for the universe, I think it's God. That is when the positive claim has been made. To say that I don't believe this proposition is and that's the burden shift. That's to say that we're supposed to assume from the start that God exists. But God existing is a positive claim, and that's what I'm inquiring about tonight. Do you understand?
No, I don't understand how you stating that you're an atheist doesn't automatically imply that you're making the proposition that God doesn't exist. I don't understand how that happens. I don't know how you
read the
answered,
definition.
what question you were answering.
Can
but
you
it
read your
certainly wasn't the one that I
definition one more
posed.
time?
I didn't read off a definition. I gave off a high level understanding of what the definition would be.
So then you already understand that it's not necessarily a positive claim.
No, I do understand that you saying that you're an atheist is a positive claim, and that question is effectively a burden shift onto individuals who may not necessarily hold to the atheist views.
An atheist is anyone who's not a theist.
Great. You keep repeating the definition, but that's still a position that you're taking. You hold the atheist position.
Sure. Yes.
So substantiate it.
Fine. So, if time exists and change exists, if time came into existence, then we would have had a state where there was it was a changeless state where change did not exist.
How did time come into existence?
Yeah, but this is the idea of God creating the universe, right? So I'm just going through my.
Wait, so you do believe in God? I'm confused.
I'm giving an example of God. I'm trying to explain. Do you want to actually hear it? Yes or no?
No, hold on. I'm asking you to substantiate.
Do you want to hear my argument? Yes or no, Josh? You asked me the question.
I don't understand how this is an argument for atheism. Sorry.
Because you interrupted me. That's why you don't understand. So why don't you sit down and fucking listen, okay? For fuck's sake.
Can you stop crashing
crazy.
out? Don't crash out. Don't crash out. It's going to be fine. We're going to work through this together.
Yeah. Sorry, guys. I never do that. I don't know what it is about tonight. So anyway, I'll start over. If change exists, then time exists. Okay? So before time, or that's not really a thing that we can say, but if time does not exist, then we have a state where there is no change. In order for time to be created, then a changeless state has to change into a changing state where there is time, but before and after tenseless or tense stuff, right? Things with tense. But a changeless state necessarily cannot change, otherwise it would not be a changeless state. Therefore, the universe could not have been created because time cannot be created. If God is outside of time, God is timeless. That means God cannot change. God cannot go from a state of not creating to creating. Therefore, God does not exist.
Wait, who claims that God changes?
Yeah, no, not anybody who is a serious theist. They would all say that God is changeless. So if God is changeless, that's kind of part of the point. If God is changeless, then God cannot do anything.
Wait, hold on. If God isn't in and of itself all powerful, then how can you say that it can or can't do anything?
Yeah, see, that would actually be that would be in dissonance with being changeless. So if you are all powerful, then you can change. It's actually the most basic thing that you can do. If you're outside of time, you cannot change. You actually can't do anything. So to say that he's
Wait, it's all powerful,
and
so
he's
how is that
changeless,
possible?
that's what I'm saying. It's a contradiction. He can't be all powerful and not
It's not a
powerful at all at the same
contradiction.
time. Can
Wait,
you
hold
explain to me how God can be changeless and do anything?
Yeah, because he's all powerful and can do anything. Just because you don't understand that
How?
doesn't mean or imply
I don't understand it
that it's an
because it is a
impossibility.
logical contradiction.
It's not though. Wait, hold on. What's the argument that an all-powerful being can't do this thing?
Because this all-powerful being is also described as being unchanging. So in order to do something, you have to change.
What do you mean by unchanging? What do you mean by change?
Are you actually doing this pedantic bullshit again?
It's not pedantic.
You need
I'm
to
wanting
stop.
to know what you mean by it.
I've got other
there's several
guests
different-
who want to come up.
I'm aware.
I'm wondering
you
why
can run
I'm
away
gonna
at
sit
any
here.
time. You can drop me. That's fine. If you don't really want to go into like the words that you're using and the meaning behind them, that's totally fine.
Josh, you asked me tonight what real means, what I meant by exist, or what I meant by reality, what I meant by existence. You asked what I meant by change, by not change,
Sure did.
and this is pedantic.
That's your opinion, man. Like, I'm trying to figure out what you're meaning by this because I think you would agree that definitions are mind dependent.
So so change is the progression from one state to another.
Okay, great. So is it possible for an all-powerful being to do this while also possible for an all-powerful being to refrain from doing this?
An all-powerful being can do all things.
Great. So just because a God doesn't change doesn't mean it doesn't have the capacity to change. So whether or not God is changing in any given sense does not prove or disprove the existence of God. Your claim is that God doesn't exist.
Do you believe
so
that
I'm asking for evidence that he doesn't.
If God created the if God exists, then God created the universe. This is a premise. If God is outside of time, then God cannot change. If God cannot change, then God cannot create. Conclusion is God did not create the universe.
Wait, hold on. What instantiates that creation instantiates a change in the creator?
Because he would have to go from a state where he's not creating to a state where he is.
Not necessarily.
Do you think that God is in the eternal state of creation? Are you one of the pure act guys?
No, not even necessarily that. Again, all powerful. This is the key thing here that I think.
If he's all powerful and he's changeless, then he doesn't act on his power, right? If he
in some cases he
acts
couldn't.
on his
Sure.
if he does, then he's not changeless. If he's not changeless, then he's within time.
Not true. Acting on power doesn't necessarily invoke any type of change other than like a trivial action. Like, when you move your finger, do you change?
Yes.
You change when you move your finger?
Yes. Are you crazy?
Your
Yes,
essence changes when you move your finger.
So let me ask you this.
I would call that absurd.
I've got a finger. I am the absurdist. I have a finger right here. Okay. You see it?
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to move it. Did I change?
Nope.
The fuck out of here, you piece of shit.
No, you didn't change.
Oh
Your
my God,
essence.
what an idiot. Okay, let's go on to somebody who's actually good faith. Sorry guys, that lasted way too long. That dude was an ass. He was pedantic the entire time. He thinks that when you change from your finger being up to your finger being down, that it's not change. Pedantic. Oh my God. Never crashed out as hard as I did with this guy. Hey, Looney Leftist.
Hello.
I talked to you before. I can't remember how it went or if we were on the same side or not.
Yeah, it went well. We were kind of on the same side. I'm still atheist, and you're atheist. but
These terms are
we kind of
confusing sometimes. Atheist and I'm atheist, and we didn't say the same thing. Isn't that interesting? Yeah. So yeah, what's up, man?
I mean, first off, like one thing's just been on my mind. Like, you probably don't remember I'm a Baha'i.
Oh yeah, right. Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like sort of off the like topic, I think, is what we concluded.
It was off the topic.
Because you didn't necessarily believe in a creator god.
Oh, I mean, I assume that it created everything, or everything's contingent upon it. Attending to some stuff.
Sorry, cervezas. That's beer in Spanish. Beers in Spanish. Yeah, so all right, well that's fine. I think I might have misremembered. So, what's your best evidence for a creator god or a god that is like ontologically prior to existence?
That is ontologically prior.
Because you were talking about contingency, so you might have been talking about that.
Yeah. I mean, the only thing that we can do is like argue the cosmological argument, and that always goes to a standstill because we just don't have the maths to know what happened before. I'd say that there was a God. You'd say that there's not, and we don't really know. So that's always a dead end.
The fair stance to take is we don't know, therefore we shouldn't just assume it's a God. So you would have to give justification for the proposition that it is a God.
Yeah. I mean, philosophical musings won't help. The one thing that I wanted to point to, like God within history. Do you know the Millerite schism?
No.
All right. Basically, in the 1800s, there was a man named William Miller, and he was like, God was coming back in 1844, and then he didn't see God come back in America. Hold on, I'm getting to it, but basically in Iran, there was a man named the Bab who made the announcement that he was a manifestation of God, and there was
the guy had a firing squad with like 700 some odd people, and he like somehow got back to finish his book or something. Yeah, and I was like, I don't know how we can analyze this. It sounds fake, but like maybe there's like something to it. Maybe there was some kind of magic trick going on. But in order to verify that it was a miracle, we would have to rule out every natural explanation.
I mean,
I remember
maybe depends on what. Yeah, maybe depends on what you mean by a miracle. Sorry, I'm a bit slow with talking.
It's like a, something where at least one of the laws of physics is suspended to make it happen. Right. Something that like I'm not talking about something that's improbable. I don't consider those to be miracles, as I believe in coincidences. But yeah, it's something that would otherwise be impossible. Like if gravity stopped working for one person, or like was less effective for one person for a period of time, they started kind of levitating or moon bouncing when everybody else was to the ground, I would be like, yeah, that's well, if I had ruled out every natural explanation, I could be justified in calling that magic or a miracle. I consider them to be synonymous.
I need to know semantically what a miracle actually is. I'm open to it being something that just defies every law of physics or like cause and effect. In that case, I need a different word for a lot of this stuff, because there's like a story of a person in recovery who he was an atheist, and he didn't want to believe in the God thing, and he said his higher power was Jiminy Cricket. And one day he was like having a really bad day, and he really wanted to relapse. And he was in his car, and a truck with the name Jiminy Cricket Plumbing pulled up to him and he started crying and he believed in God ever
Well,
since. But
yeah,
that's
I
not really a
mean,
miracle,
like
and you can
that's
call it a
it's
coincidence, of
yeah, but I
course.
mean, it's something that he made up as like a satire, and he saw it. Yeah, I could t that would mess me up too, if I did that. Like if I made up Jiminy Cricket, like, I believe in Jiminy Cricket, that's my God, and I'm about to relapse. Right when I'm about to relapse, a truck says Jiminy Cricket. Like, what are the odds? I mean, I've never seen that before. I've never seen a truck with that on it. It was probably a private company, private local company, unless I was familiar with it already.
Yeah, I heard this story could be completely made up.
It
Obviously,
just
I don't
means
have.
it
Uh,
doesn't get us to God is the thing. Like it doesn't mean that there's a creator of the universe. It just means that that was a weird thing and we don't know what the explanation was. I would say that that was a coincidence, although if that happened to me, I would be like emotionally reluctant to want to believe that, but I think that if after enough time I would rationalize that that was just some crazy coincidence. I can't believe that happened. I got bamboozled by by like
mm,
the causal chain or something.
mhm. Yeah, that's just the problem, though. If it was God, how would you prove it if you're so heaven bent on saying that it wasn't? Like, for a thought experiment, say that it was God. How do we prove that it is in a case like that?
I don't think you really could. I think that if God wants to be proven, he would just succeed, right? Like God wants us to know he exists, so then we would exist, or we would know he exists. If he
I,
wants us and he's like trying to make us discover him, the fact that we don't is a failure on God's part. And if God can fail, then God is not like an ultimate being, so he wouldn't be God.
mm-hmm. I guess God just doesn't want certain people, or doesn't want certain people, or is totally fine with people not believing in him. Just it doesn't want to be pushy or something. I don't know. I don't know why certain people don't believe in God, even though I believe that there is. It's a good question.
Well,
Um,
did you have any other arguments you wanted to try out?
um, hmm. I mean, we kind of got interrupted on the prophecy stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so like the Bob made his announcement that he was a manifestation of God in the same time that William Miller said that God was coming back. So it fulfills like biblical prophecy, and it also coincides with Quranic prophecy as far as I can tell. But and as far as I know, obviously it came from Islam, so they knew about the Quranic prophecy, so you could just say he was fulfilling something that he knew would be fulfilled. But he totally, as far as I know, did not know about the biblical prophecy that he was fulfilling.
Well, I
Yeah.
can't really speak to it. I don't. I'm too far removed from it, and I think that we should try another argument because we did already talk about this before.
Oh.
Unless you don't have another one.
Let's see. I guess I got one more thing. Anecdotal story, but I like telling it. Have you heard of Paramahansa Yogananda?
No, I don't think I could even say it back to you, to be honest either. But before you could, I'll let you tell a brief story if you want, because you're being cordial and polite and stuff. But I want to preface that an anecdotal story is not going to be convincing to me, and it probably won't be convincing to anybody in chat either, because it's personal to you. We can't verify it and everything like that.
Yeah, that's why I did the preface, and I was almost kind of saying the same thing you were, that it won't convince you, but there's a lot of anecdotal stories about this. But yeah, just I suppose something to plant a seed. I don't know, because we're never gonna, or you're never gonna get to the God thing through talking about this with people. It's just something you got to believe in yourself. You got to figure it out on your own. But to the story, Paramahansa Yogananda. Sorry, there's a plane flying overhead. Wait a
Fly
moment.
like an eagle, baby.
Look, Ma, there's an airplane up in the sky.
Don't be ridiculous.
Uh,
Airplanes aren't real. It's an angel.
But basically, he was meditating and he was having a hard time with it. His mind was too busy. And he taught in like his guru. Apparently, he knew about this. He knew what was going on in his mind, allegedly. So he's like, hey, I see that you're having a hard time meditating. Let me help you. So he puts his finger on his forehead and he sends his like consciousness flying like out of his body, like Doctor Strange style, into the universe. And he shows him how to do it to other people.
I would love. When was this?
Early 1900s. It's in a book
Shit.
called Autobiography.
I was gonna say,
of a
like, I
Yogi.
would love for him to teach me how to do that. If he taught me how to do that, then I would believe in something.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, one of the things that I like to say is I should spend 2 years in the Himalayas learning how to do it and find these TikTok atheists and ask them if I can come over and do that just to win a
Hey,
TikTok
TikTok atheist,
argument.
give me your address. I'll be right over. Yeah, no way.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey,
But, yeah.
Looney left this. I'm gonna move on. You're always a pleasure to
What? That
talk
didn't
to.
convince ya?
Nah,
Oh, okay.
man. Nah,
Ah,
nice
shit.
try.
All right.
You're always nice and
All
everything.
right, have a
Yeah,
good
thanks for
night.
coming up. Yeah. It's just not what we're looking for. Yeah. Hey guys, thanks for being here. Thank you for the taps. We're at 14,000. That's great. Let's see if we can get to 20. So I'm gonna bring up the next guest here. Alan Barla. Hi, are you at least 18?
Hey man, yes, I'm a Christian.
Okay. So what's your best evidence for God?
Well, it depends what kind of evidence are we looking for.
Empirical evidence,
can
propositional
bring-
evidence,
Mhm.
philosophical, logical argument, something like that.
Okay, I can bring some logical, epistemological, and some tensions that cannot be explained without a source of life. Or
Okay, yeah. So you can,
that-
just whatever you want to try out, go for it.
Okay, for instance, you know that according to the second law of logic, the law of identity,
That's
every
the
element
first one.
borrows the identity from the previous element.
What?
It's every element borrows its identity from the previous one. Is that correct?
No.
Are you with me?
The first law of identity, the first law of logic is the law of identity, and that just means A equals A. The second law of logic is what you said you were talking about. I think
No.
you meant the first one, but the second law of logic is the law of non-contradiction, where a
Non-contradiction,
proposition and its negation can't both be true.
Okay, the first one is the law of identity, that an element is identical with its, right?
Yeah, it's identical with itself, correct.
Okay, perfect. If in a philosophical way, every element that exists borrows its identity from the previous one.
So what are
Are
you
you with
talking
me?
about? Are you talking about the causal chain, like moments in time leading to the
Yeah,
next?
it's a chain, exactly. Yeah, exactly, it's a chain.
I mean, I suppose I could
And,
see like how you're getting that. I suppose.
Okay, let's say, I don't know, human being is made by molecules and atoms and all that stuff. But if you go back in time, you'll see that atoms is made of electrons and protons and other particles. So basically, you borrow some identity from previous ones.
Right.
Did I explain myself?
The atoms are like ontologically prior to us. They are a part of our makeup.
Exactly. And you go back and back and back and back and back until you reach the pure energy. Is that correct?
Yes. Yeah, we're all energy.
Okay, perfect. So energy is made of fundamental particles, and they have to borrow that identity from a previous one.
Well, energy and particles are like two sides of the same coin. They're more or less the same thing in different modes.
Yeah, exactly. In order to have particles, you need to have energy. Is that correct?
Yeah, well, yeah, because they like share an identity in a way.
Exactly, they share it. Yes, that's what I'm going for. So the problem is attention is not a contradiction of the first law of logic, but there is a tension because if an element takes the identity from the previous one, you just go in a infinite regress and you don't talk about the source of the first identity, so that identity is not defined.
Right.
So there
I
is
think
a tension
that,
there.
Once you, I agree. Like once you
source.
posit a first one, that's when you would run into an issue. Yeah. But if you have an infinite regress, I think that solves the problem.
You don't solve exactly, but you have a tension there. Is not a contradiction of the first law of logic. It's not a contradiction. I want to be clear, but there is a tension there because you don't have a defined identity.
Here's my thing. I hold to eternalism. I think that all moments are actual. All moments in time are equally actual, and because of that, I don't see something like temporal change being true in any objective sense. I think that we perceive change from our perspective. So I think the set of all moments might be something that's necessary, but it could be an infinitely long axis of time, expanding, infinitely
The
in
thing
both
is
directions.
that if you have sorry, I interrupted you. The problem is that not actually a problem, but is more likely I will call it a tension. If it's an infinite chain, you don't have a defined identity to borrow from. You know what I mean?
The chain itself would have its own identity as the set of all moments, and it wouldn't need to borrow its identity from anything. It would just be necessary.
But that chain is made of individual elements. That's the thing. You would say I have an identity, and I agree with that. But you are not the final identity. You are made of other stuff that they need to have an identity.
Right.
So when you say the chain has an identity, I can understand that, but there are elements inside the chain that they don't have a defined identity in infinite regress. You just postpone the tension back in on the chain.
Mm-hmm.
So that would be solved. That is not God of the gaps. It's just a logical tension that basically it can be solved with the source. Now you would say, okay, maybe that energy was created for, I don't know, by aliens from another universe or something else. You may say that, but the problem, the tension comes on an ontological level, that the existence itself has to have a source.
How so?
Because otherwise we run into this tension of borrowing identity, an undefined identity.
Mm-hmm.
So on an ontological level, we need a source. There is the need of a source in order to define.
I don't know that that's true. Can you convince me that that's true, that we can't have an undefined identity of this chain?
Well, the thing is that is infinite. Yeah, it's undefined. You cannot define it. That's basically the philosophical thought of many philosophers, and is not just me that I'm telling to you, that I just read from other people.
Can you tell me about Can you tell me about what this source would be, and tell me about it?
Well, as a Christian, I think is God.
Okay, and what's God's source?
That's how do you call it in English? It's God is the existence itself. So it's asking what God did before creation is basically the same that you ask what's God's source.
So God does not have a source, because God is existence itself. But existence itself, if it consists of an infinite chain, then we agreed that would be an undefined identity. So if God consists of parts that have undefined identity, then God's identity would also be undefined. Therefore, he would need a source by your logic.
If in his nature is the existence itself on an ontological level, you don't need a source. You actually don't need the source. Is improper.
So you're saying all that we need is existence.
Exactly.
Right. I believe in existence. So.
Yeah, because nothingness does not exist.
Right. So that means that this seems like an argument for atheism. Like nothingness does not exist. I think it's kind of illogical. And you were saying that existence is all that we need. Existence is what we have. I don't know why we would make the jump to God, but then you're saying that God is existence. So it almost feels like God is just a misnomer. Like the God is the universe. And I believe in the universe. If the universe is God, then I believe in God, but that's not what I mean when I say God.
Yeah, I totally understand what you say, but God needs to be the source of what we see.
Well,
don't think necessarily
existence is
a degree
like existence itself. We already agreed. I call existence, and you call existence God, and we both agree that that's enough.
That's enough on the ontological level, and I can agree with you.
But existence, remember, also consists of that infinite chain of moments, potentially. So, that was a problem for you.
Yeah, not exactly. At least the God of Christianity, at least how it's presented in Christianity.
So the God of Christianity
is out
the God of Christianity is not described as existence itself. Like God is said to be the creator of the universe, not synonymous with existence itself.
It depends which thought are you following. I'm mostly on.
If God is existence itself, then God is me and you and like my butthole, right? God would be all these things. God would be a firearm.
That's on an empirical level, but I was talking the existence itself in his nature on an ontological level.
Oh, I don't know what you're talking about anymore.
Okay, on the empirical level, we can see stuff that we can observe, we can measure, we can experiment. Are you with me so far?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. In order to have that as into existence, we have to have something on the ontological level to exist first.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
So that's why I say, when I say that God is existence in his nature, I say that he is the first source of everything we can see, observe, and experiment.
So the first source of everything we can see and observe and so you're saying that God was the hot, dense state?
Even before everything that is empirical, because hot dense spot we can probably or potentially measure it. We can observe it, but
God
even
was before the hot dense state. So you said we could observe. and that's this kind
Yeah,
of
it's
as far back as we're able to
yeah,
observe.
that's even. Yeah, the thing is that God is. It's improper to say that God is before that hot dance because God is outside the
Hey,
time.
Alan, I mean, I'll be like honest. I don't. I'm having a really hard time understanding your position. That God is existence. God is outside of existence. God's the source of existence.
No, not outside.
It
No.
sounds
Okay.
incoherent. Like I'm gonna
Okay.
go ahead and
Okay.
move on, but you can come back again tomorrow
Yeah,
if you'd
maybe I'm
like.
not explaining myself very well, but I will. I will come back and we can
All
have
right.
it.
You
Yeah.
have a good one, man. Yeah, I thought I got it, and he started saying things that seemed to contradict what he said before. Anyway, I don't know if he meant to. Bringing up, hey, way too easy. Are you at least 18?
Yeah, yeah.
All right, what God do you believe in?
Uh, I guess you could say to a great extent the Christian God. I guess that's what you would claim it as, more so to do with the Abrahamic religions. But my idea of God is different than the this I guess easily accessed contextual version of God.
Okay,
So
so what's your best evidence for God?
my best evidence for God is our it's not so much as what we see and understand as what we don't. And by that I mean a lot of times people's arguments are if I can't see it, if I can't feel it, if I can't experience it, then it must not be. And to say that to
Maybe
come from
stupid people would say that, yeah, like really
yeah,
idiotic
often.
people would say that.
Yeah, it comes from a place of like this great arrogance, you know. And it's like and not in a political way, it just is like you wouldn't know I exist until we have a conversation. Somebody could describe me,
Mm-hmm.
somebody could tell you I did these amazing things, and if you don't have any comparative information, then you have the choice to believe it. If you believe it, it's faith. If you don't believe it, it's that's fine too, but that doesn't mean that the things that I claimed that were claimed that I've done weren't done. They still took place and happened. So
Okay, so what's your argument?
my argument is the existence of God. The only reason we have such a hard time conceptually proving the existence of God is because we lack awareness. And I mean, I'm talking about like, okay, you ever watch movies and they're like, you know, Marvel movies and they like got cosmic awareness. So an alien could be entering a planet and they're like, I sense an energy, whatever the case is. They have a higher level of perceptive ability and math, even though it's infinite, because we exist as humans, our lifespan is so short. It's just taken a very, very long time to get what we would consider concrete, you know, irrefutable evidence of God. But I believe that those things exist, such as when you speak about the theory that they're coming up that electrons exist in all points in space throughout the universe
Mm-hmm.
at all times. Like there's a conversation right now that there may just be one electron that exists in all points of time. And that takes the 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 like it's almost like the level of perfection that
Sorry,
it takes.
just can you just like it was just like refocus because I think you kind of got
Okay, yeah.
distracted. So what's
Okay.
your argument? What's your best evidence for the
My
existence of
argument is
God?
that it is very clear through um math and energy that God exists.
How so?
That there is a creator. That there is a creator. Um, I like to look at infinity, for example. A lot of people when we look at numbers, when we scale them, I ask people like how many numbers are between 0 and 1? A lot of people will say none, but if you're any level of mathematics, you're like, oh, it's infinite. And how many numbers are between 1 and 2? It's infinite. Because we can't really conceptualize art and we can't really conceptualize our environment on the like maybe like I guess what would be like a fourth or fifth dimensional level. There are things that will not exist to us until we create a technology to measure things that we can't measure with the technology we have now. So when I look at multiple levels of infinity, when I look at energy interacting to like create suitable environments, that to me is creation. And it had to come up. It didn't come about like random. It's not random. It had to be created.
I mean, I don't really understand how this gets us to a creator God because we have come up with a system that utilizes an infinite set of numbers.
Right.
How does that get us to God's existence?
Well, because those numbers would have had to come from, I guess, like other people claim it, a source. Things come from
We
something,
made them
right?
up. We came up with the numbers ourselves.
Right. No, the numbers are symbolic of quantity. We didn't come up with the quantity. Nothing lost, nothing gained as far as energy. We did not create the energy. We just created the symbols to account to our measurement of that energy.
Like we
or our
invented
measurement of that.
counting. Yeah.
Right. Exactly. We invented counting to count things that actually already exist.
So it sounds like because more than one thing exists, you believe in God. Because like the thing that existed before counting, you're saying that like multiple objects. But I mean, I wouldn't say that like there's a rock, now there's another rock, that means God exists. I mean, just because there's multiple objects. I don't know
No,
how
I
that
would
gets us
say
there.
there's electron, proton, neutron, subatomic particles, leptons, quarks, and quasars. Then I see their interactions, and I see our ability to measure them. Then I say, "Oh, God exists." There's too many things that mimic. I think people get omnipotence and perfection confused. There's too many things that mimic literal perfection for these things to exist, and we just take it as, oh, the universe just is. It just was done that way rather than it being designed. It looks and mimics our body, our functions.
In order to call something perfect, you sort of need a frame of reference. You need a standard that you can compare the thing to. So if you decide that an atom needs to behave in like this specific way,
Correct.
then you have a standard of perfection. Anytime an atom is behaving in that specific way, it's perfect. Anytime it deviates, it's imperfect. But we have to define it, and like we define it. Perfection is a concept that we came up with.
Well, I disagree. I disagree with perfection as a concept that the word itself, yes. All words are just associated observations.
I don't mean the word. I don't mean like the semantics about it. I mean like what it actually is. We're talking about something that could not be better, and better is subjective.
I get it, but an atom specifically, I'm just using electron because it's one specific particle. An electron literally cannot be better or worse. It serves its function without fail, and the only thing that can interrupt it is us specifically tampering with its its function, right? The fact that they did the observation theory, I forget I don't know if they were observing matter, dark matter, God particles, or what. I forget exactly what they were observing, but they were observing these particles, and they realized that when these particles were observed, they changed. And then they realized when they wasn't being observed, like these particles had some sense of awareness whether they were being watched or not, and that added a whole new idea.
No. That's a misconception. You're talking about the Heisenberg uncertainty principle.
Yeah, the Heisenberg. Yes, sir.
Right. So when you've got a particle that's in like superposition, you can find its location, or you can like measure it, or you can get its momentum. And when you observe it to measure it, it's like the wave function collapses, and you don't know its momentum anymore. So the thing is, like it changes from what it was before, it seems. But it's not because we're observing it. When we observe it, we use lasers. And when we use lasers, we are bombarding the particle with photons. So it's being affected by all those photons from the laser. It's not the fact that it's aware that we're peeping on it or something in the shower and it's getting bashful. It's like it's being physically smacked with matter.
Bashful.
You know what I mean? It's being physically smacked with other particles, and it has to be affected by that.
I agree with you 110%. I believe that in the this, like you see, I heard you say you believe in coincidences, and I'm a person who don't believe in coincidences. I believe in all things. Everything has a reason, right? But sometimes we just don't know. I don't believe there is any such thing as something that just happens just to happen, that serves no purpose or has no that has no like cause and effect type situation, right? Like I don't believe things just fall out the
No,
sky.
well, I mean,
Everything.
I don't. So when I said I believe in coincidences, I didn't
Mhm.
mean that I didn't believe in cause and effect. I do believe in cause and effect. I am a
Right.
determinist. I was talking about
Okay.
like how likely something is to occur. I don't think that there
Oh,
is
probability
necessarily
statistics.
right. I
Okay.
don't think that like there's any intentionality behind you rolling a six on a die 20 times in a row. It's extremely unlikely.
It's extremely
But it
unlikely,
could
right?
be just a coincidence. You know, it's
Okay.
madly unlikely, but it could just be a crazy coincidence. Um, yeah,
That
that's
makes a
it.
lot
Like,
of that makes a lot of sense. For
but as
me,
far as
it's
cause and
just
effect, that's not
right.
like disrupted by that. I think we're kind of distracted here again. So, how
Yeah, I
does how
apologize.
does
That's
how
my bad.
does any of this get us to God? Talking
Because
about numbers and infinity, I said we invented
yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, all right. You say we invented it. I look at it. I guess perspectively, I look at this differently. I look at us more as observers of something that's created, and you look at us more as like adding terms to just our observations, not
We're
necessarily
describing our
creation
environment,
itself.
yeah. So, but
Right.
how did you determine we were created?
Through what I would call like I guess we would call it maybe like a mathematical process, and the reason I say that is because it's like everything okay, laws of the universe, things they can't be created, well they can't be created but they can't be destroyed, no matter lost nothing gained, right? Then I looked at infinity and I said, okay, if there are multiple versions of infinity, then that means there are things and energy sources, which that's what I would consider God, a being, just overall obviously an infinite energy source that is capable of creating multiple infinities. And that gave me the idea. I'm like, that's what you would have to do to, if you got multiple
So you
dimensions and
you like
multiple.
you were speculating, it sounds like.
No, I'm not gonna say speculation, because it what I'm looking at exists, and what I'm looking at is not, it's real. And
You were
no, and
supposing,
you
well, so you were talking about infinities, and you said that
right,
what could cause us to exist? Well, God is his ultimate source of energy. Um,
right.
but energy, as you already said before, can't be created or destroyed, so it
Well,
wouldn't
in this
necessarily
dimension, in
have
this
a source.
in our dimension, because we know there are higher dimensions, mathematically speaking. That's factual that there are higher dimensions, mathematically speaking. So I mean, unless that's like debatable.
I think it's debatable. Like, and what's in math doesn't always comport with reality, but it does have some predictive power because of how good of a system we've concocted. It maps onto reality quite nicely, but there are some times where math and reality don't converge.
Hmm. That's an interesting.
That's why we aren't able to really
Interesting
like
point.
figure out much before the point of expansion of the Big Bang. Our math sort of breaks down because our t goes to zero right there, and we're not really able to
Right.
calculate in the same way. So that's kind of a failure on our part. Our mathematics
And that's the
they're
point.
not up to snuff.
Exactly. Exactly. That's what I'm making. We just aren't intelligent enough to perceive things as they are. There is more evidence pointing towards God existing than there isn't. I
I'm
don't
still
always use
waiting
the
for some
Bible.
though. It sounds like you're appealing to your own, like you're appealing to mystery. Like you don't understand things, and so you're supposing that there's a God. But this is an argument from
No, no, no. I
incredulity.
know, I know that I won't ever understand everything, as I won't live long enough to. I don't think, no matter how long I did live, even if I lived a million years, I don't think, if as long as I'm stuck in this dimension and we don't have, I think the technology would have to literally be like, and I know this might sound crazy, but it would have to be, it takes a equal or something like a high, just a, it's in this dimension, from our experience as a human, right? And this is something I believe is easy to agree on. There, it takes a very close, if not almost equal amount of energy to be able to, I guess, measure something. Like, and that's
I
the
don't really know what you're talking about anymore. way too easy.
Mm.
I'm not trying to be rude or anything, but I'm gonna go
No,
ahead
you're
and
not.
move on because it feels like we're speaking past each other. I'm having a hard time grabbing what
Oh
you're
yeah, I'm
trying to
sorry
say
about that,
here.
man. It's just it's really my idea. I don't try to push
It
on
feels like
people
you're
like
just kind
that.
of. It feels like you're just wondering about stuff in real time, and I'm just. I've asked a few times about your argument, and you're like talking about things that you suppose, and then you start kind of going off on a tangent. So I guess collect
Yeah,
your
I'm
thoughts
sorry.
and
It's
come
hard for me
back
to
another night.
explain.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
yeah.
thanks,
Think
man.
about it.
Thanks.
Maybe like write it down, and so that way you
Yeah,
can be
that's
like
what I should
really.
have did.
You can
Yeah,
be like
thank you. Yeah.
direct, and next time you come back, you can hit me with it, and I can kind of like try to dissect it, and we can get somewhere with that. But have a good night, man. Thanks for coming up.
Thanks, man. You too.
Yeah, no, he was nice. I liked him. We had a couple of sour guests at the beginning here. I'm getting a lot of the problem is though, like it seems like the nicer they get, the less of like an argument they seem to have. I don't know. I was getting a lot of, but the mean ones were just bird and chicken, so I guess they didn't have an argument either. Hey, Frieza, are you at least 18?
Nice. Hi.
Hey, are you at least 18?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know. Do I sound 18 at least?
Okay. What god do you believe in?
It's not a, it's my own concept, and I also believe that everyone else has their own god. So there are around 8.7 billion gods.
So, okay, it sounds like you think that God is a product of the mind. We all imagine our own God, and but I'm talking about a God that is responsible for the existence of the universe.
Yeah, there's cause and effect. Yeah, there is cause and effect, and that breaks down at the quantum level. But it's not yet explained, so we can't really yet, right?
I'm not
The
I'm not sure
the
about this concept that you're trying to.
the causality can be caused, can it?
Yeah, I don't know that causality itself can be caused because um things within
Can't.
causality.
I said can't. I said can't.
Yeah, I'm agreeing with you. I don't think it can be.
So technically, uh, technically, there's no intention behind the universe.
Yep, it sounds like you're an atheist.
Okay, but I do believe that every single one of us have our own God, and that way, maybe some of us are right and some of us are wrong, but you
If we all have
can't
our own
really.
god, then it's entirely subjective, and it seems like none of these gods would
That's
fit the
how.
definition that
Yeah,
we're talking about. Like I'm talking about an objective source of the universe, right? So I'm not talking about something that we all personally hold to. It seems like the definition of God that you're working on is not the same God that I'm talking about. So I'm gonna just go ahead and
Yeah.
move on. But thank you for coming up. You guys, thanks for being here. I'm gonna play some music while I address y'all. Loves the Absurdist. The guest queue is open. I see Danny wants to talk, so Danny, if you request up to be the next guest, there's nobody in the queue. So thank you guys for the 21,000 likes. I appreciate that very much. Do not fill up this meter, or I will sing to you. You guys don't want that. Thank you for all the 68 shares. That's really huge. I'm actually impressed. I don't know when I've ever seen that many before. So we're one away from 69. And if we get to 70, I'm going to say now we have to get to 100. So definitely only share it one more time, or else we'll have a whole thing going on. But thank you for being here, everybody. Contra Christos sent some support. I appreciate that. I don't know how to pronounce your name. Timia sent some support. 3Pip sent support. Zeno. Robert 007 sent support. Jamie. I appreciate all you guys. Thank you for all this. Pigeon XL. Level your minds. Oh, thanks, Sebastian. I sing things in my range, you know. Oh, wasn't there a guy begging to talk to me? Like, where is he at? Danny, man, like the request, the guest box is open, man. Oh yeah, that's right, Sebastian. Happy Pride Month to all my LGBTQ plus people out there. You guys got your month. It's finally here. It feels like it just happened too. I remember making a video about it last year. So Danny, it's going to be the pink and blue people icon down there right next to the text field on your phone. There'll be a picture of a rose next to this rose button beside it. I need to get a longer one. I've got like 2 metal tracks that I play for the background. And they just like, man. Alright, Danny, I got you, man. Oh, it won't even let me invite you. Wait. Resume live. What do you mean resume live to invite people? I am live. What's that supposed to mean? Hang on. Let me try this. Let me try it this way. It's really weird. I've never seen that message before. Oh, private profile. Yeah, Danny, I don't know. You might need to change your settings. If anyone else without a private profile wants to come up, guest queue's open. I'm just waiting. Sipping on my water. Eating communion wafers. Yeah. I never did the wafers. Isn't that like a Catholic thing? One church I went to growing up, we had little cubes of bread. They were soft. They were like malleable. You could roll them up into balls, which I did that sometimes. But it was like somebody took sliced bread and just cut them into cubes. Then after that, I guess the next ones were closer to wafers, but they were more like a little square, like a small pillow-shaped cracker. Almost like a piece of, like, you know, the pill-shaped gum. Not the like pill shape, but I don't know, like it was square, but it was like it had dimples on the corners and it was like puffed out. It did look kind of like a pillow. Anyway, I know that different churches do different shit. Oh, is a personal guy trying to talk? What's he talking about? Let me see. I'd have to say the 8 blood types after the flood. Oh, I heard this one recently. Just because there were allegedly 8 people after an alleged worldwide flood, and there's 8 blood types. That's just you recognizing the number 8. You know, all of the children from Noah would have had they would have gotten things from their parents, right? They wouldn't have had anything new or different that their parents didn't have. So there wouldn't have been 8 from them. You've got their wives, right? But you wouldn't have had 8. It would have been more like 6. That's not how blood types. I don't know how blood types work. I don't, but I know they don't happen like that. Oh, now it's like really quiet in here. Okay, let me do this. You know, I don't have a lot of time left, guys. No, let's bring up this guy. What's up, homie? How you doing?
Hello. I wanted. I'm sorry. Do I have to give my age?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm 54. I'm a Gen X. I was on your live maybe an hour ago or something, and I heard this guy who you kicked him out because he was not listening to you. And just before you kicked him out, he said something that is very relevant from the believer's point of view. He said, nothing can be created out of nothing. Therefore, there has to be a God. So, first of all, the sentence, there has to be a God, is not an evidence. Now, when they say, when they say that nothing cannot be created out of nothing, my question would be, therefore, what or who created your God? That's the first thing, okay? And immediately they go like, oh, God is eternal, God has no time, no blah, blah, blah. One of the things that when I discuss, sorry, I'm not a native English speaker. I hope that my English is good enough. When I discuss with believers, they always say the same thing, like, where do we come from? What happened before the Big Bang, if the Big Bang theory is true? And I always give them the same answer that seems to terrorize them. I always tell them, there is absolutely nothing wrong to say we don't know yet. The argument that I give here is 500 years ago or even 600 years ago, everybody on this planet believed, you couldn't change their mind, that earthquakes were the manifestation of the wrath of their God to punish us from our sins. So much so that, for instance, the Inca sacrificed children in order to appease their God's wrath.
Was it that
Nowadays,
recent? I know that, like, that's an example I use too. I didn't know it was that recent. I might have to fact check that, but yeah, like I use that example too.
Yeah.
I use earthquakes.
Yeah.
They think that God's shaking the earth with his hands,
Exactly.
and we know better. But we also
And
had no way of
nowadays-
conceiving of the tectonic plates. Like, how could we have possibly had the correct answer? Right, even if we did pull out of our ass 600 or 10,000 years ago or whatever that the earthquakes are caused by tectonic plates shifting, we would have been unjustified in believing that, though we would have been right. It would have been right for no good reason. We wouldn't be able to justify that. Yeah, and furthermore, when people ask us to explain everything about everything in the universe, from the quantum level to the cosmos and how time exists and all this shit, it doesn't matter what we believe or whether or not we have an answer. They have a positive proposition, and that needs justification.
The thing that I'm going to quote two men. It's not my word. These are the men of one of science and one of literature. The geneticist Richard Dawkins, and the other one was, because unfortunately he passed away, Christopher Hitchens. I watched one of their lecture on video, and Dawkins said something that is really relevant on why do we have religion. Human beings, we are programmed genetically to be a pattern recognizing species, okay, from the very dawn of humanity. This ability for us to recognize pattern in nature helped us really to survive in a nature that basically had everything that wanted to eat us behind the bushes, okay? And there, later, when we settled as farmers, this also ability to recognize pattern in Mother Nature help us. I'm talking about seasons. I'm talking about the migration of wild animals when we used to live on as gathered and hunters, okay? I'm talking about many different things that we had to understand around us in order to survive. However, they explain also that this ability to recognize pattern in Mother Nature has a disadvantage, has a very big con, is when Mother Nature start to do things that are out of the patterns. I'm talking about earthquake, I'm talking about eclipse, landslide, floods, etc., etc. Human beings weren't able to explain and to anticipate what was or when was the next quirky thing given by Mother Nature. And that's when religion started. Religion was basically a way for human to fill the explanatory void that they had in their environment. That's all.
Yeah.
And strangely, the more science and technology progress, and the more we can explain, and the more the Bible has to be taken as allegorically and metaphorically. So we're going to reach a point where nothing in the Bible has to be taken face value, because everything can be explained.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that. Hey, Adrian, thanks for coming up. I agree with like everything that you said. I think that is very insightful stuff. And this is something that we're trying to get across to people. This is just reason, right? Like this, you've got reasons for believing what you do, and we don't accept something from our own incredulity. We posit that there are explanations that we don't have, and we should not make one up. But thank you for coming up, man. I appreciate you.
Oh,
I didn't mean to cut you off there. So let me check this guest queue. I don't think there's anybody. The guest queue is empty. I am at like my 2-hour mark. If somebody joins right now, then I'll take one more guest. Otherwise, I'm going to go ahead and call it. I don't think I'll be singing tonight, so you guys dodged that bullet. But I do still appreciate all the support. Thank you, Contra Christos. Thank you, Lupine Lunatic. Really appreciate you guys. Yeah. So I do these lives. I say that I do them twice a week, but it's really more like 4 times a week between Monday and Thursday. The ones that I really commit to are Tuesday and Thursday. And by this time of the night, I usually get really, really disconnected from reality. I start to get really fucking sleepy, and I think that it's starting to show with my eyelids. So anyway, if somebody wants to debate a pushover right now because I'm so sleepy, you've got Lubes on easy mode. Not to say that I'm hard mode or anything like that. Otherwise, but yeah, you've got me like you've got me at like a disadvantage here. Also, I think I'm pretty fair. So you got nothing to worry about. You guys talking about AI? Well, I think that this has been a great stream. I'm going to see you guys tomorrow. I'll end y'all with a song, and then we're going to all go raid Yoti. If you aren't following Yoti already, he's fantastic. He thinks very similar to me, but he's way better at communicating than I am. So he's doing great, and he's live right now. So I'm going to go ahead and end you guys with a song, and I'll see y'all tomorrow night. Here's Empty Throne.
You carved your name into our fear, spoke in smoke, swore you were the sky itself, the air in our lungs, but the spell snapped like glass in my hands. I walked out